Tonight on Denver 7 News at 6.
I do have some concerns about a patchwork approach.
The state is allowing counties to make their own rules on COVID. Some will remain cautious. Others will abandon restrictions altogether.
There are places across the country that are beginning to see surges that I think could be kind of cautionary tales for us.
The system failed the Lone Tree Boy. Lawmakers want to ensure it doesn't fail anyone else.
We have to come together piece by piece to make life safer for children and parents.
Plus, President Biden takes action on ghost guns as well as accessories used by the King super shooter.
This is not going to solve all of the problems, but this is a really good first start.
And Colorado's history is retold by those who were here first.
To really understand who we are as a people.
Good evening, and thanks for watching Denver 7. I'm Andrew Healy.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. The dial is out. Local control is in. Governor Polis and the state health department they say it's time communities call their own shots on COVID.
Right now, these 19 counties shaded in yellow and orange are required to take moderate to strict precautions because of a high rate of infection. The ones in blue and green are under a limited number of restrictions.
So as of April 16th, any and all of them can choose to throw caution to the wind and trust the public to take care of itself.
Denver 7 Sloan Dickey spent the day reaching out to local leaders to see what they have planned, and he kicks off our 360 coverage tonight. Sloan?
Yeah, this afternoon, the Tri-County Health Department in charge of Douglas, Arapahoe, and Adams counties, they're going to take control of they're having their meeting for the control. Other counties are going to be heading in a different direction. Take a look.
Across the state, county leaders are preparing for local control of COVID-19 regulations on April 16th.
We want to protect people in our community, and so we will keep some regulations in place for our own community.
Some counties will maintain many of the guidelines set by the state.
And so really supporting our health director, knowing that he's basing his decisions on science, and then having that united front as we go forward when we talk to the public is really important.
Others, however, are looking to move in a different direction. In a statement to Denver 7, the director of the Elbert County Health Department said they will, quote, most likely transition away from required verbiage in favor of suggested or encouraged verbiage when it comes to social distancing and mask guidelines. Elbert County is currently at level yellow on Colorado's COVID dial. Those regulations will likely go away next Friday. But next door, the Tri-County Health Department will likely maintain stricter health guidelines. The director of the department worries a patchwork of regulations across the state could lead to higher transmission.
I worry about relaxation of our prevention capacity too quickly. There are places across the country that are beginning to see surges that I think could be kind of cautionary tales for us.
Though hospitalization rates remain low, infection rates have increased, causing some counties to take a step backwards.
So I think I would say to the residents of Colorado, in those counties, is that we are making great progress in the metro areas and in the more rural areas. And in none of the areas do I think we can afford to say we're home free.
Now remember that April 16th date is still 8 days away, so many health department officials tell me they will be formulating the plans for taking over that local control over the next few days. Reporting live in Denver, Sloan Dickey, Denver 7.
Thank you, Sloan. Summit County was recently forced to slide back to level orange because of a rise in cases. Commissioner Tamara Pogue told our Molly Hendrickson safety is still top of mind, but a little flexibility wouldn't hurt either.
I think for both our workforce and our business community, this just seems a little bit like the final straw for us.
Yeah, I can imagine it's so frustrating. How do you strike that balance between tourism, the economy, and also keeping people safe?
I think that is a great question, and it's certainly something we continue to discuss as a community. You know, I think our Board of County Commissioners, myself included, really do want to find a balance between our physical well-being, our mental health needs in our community, and certainly our economic needs.
Well, either way, expect a lot of announcements between now and the 16th. But right now, we want to hear from you. Do you think life will be better with counties taking the lead? Or would you rather the governor be in charge? Share your thoughts with an email to us at 360 at thedenverchannel.com.
The state health department says it has already completed its investigation into Wednesday's incident at Dick's Sporting Goods Park and has concluded there is no cause for concern. 11 of the 1,700 people who received shots at the site reported side effects. 2 had to go to the hospital, though they were never admitted.
The Labor Department estimates 210,000 Coloradans applied for unemployment benefits at the end of March. More than $8 billion have been paid out since the start of the pandemic.
In 2019, our Jennifer Kovaleski uncovered a string of loopholes and lapses in judgment that led to the murder of a 10-year-old boy named Ty Tesserero. Well, today, Jen was at the state capitol as lawmakers sent a message that what happened to Ty cannot happen again.
House Bill 1099 is adopted.
With a majority vote in the House, Colorado lawmakers took a huge step towards better protecting children from domestic abuse.
This morning we passed a really big piece of legislation.
Democratic Representative Daphne Michelson-Janae is one of the bill sponsors.
In the Colorado Children's Code, there is no definition of domestic abuse, and that drives the way children are handled when they're in a custody situation.
House Bill 1099 will change that. It now requires the Department of Human Services to create a domestic violence task force. This diverse group of people will then create a new definition of child abuse, one that includes domestic violence in state law.
We're addressing a problem that we have seen in state statute.
The task force will also make recommendations on how to better train caseworkers to spot all kinds of domestic abuse.
I'm glad to see that they're using Ty's story and actually pushing this bill.
Unfortunately, he is dead.
The bill comes after a more than year-long Denver7 investigation into the murder of 10-year-old Ty Tesserero. Ty's father killed him in a murder-suicide back in 2019.
You brought this story to the public.
Our reporting uncovered a systematic gap in human services understanding and management of domestic violence abusers, especially when that abuse doesn't come with bumps and bruises.
What message do you hope this sends to Jing Tesserero?
I am devastated by her loss, and I am grateful for her sharing her story so that we can fix the law so this doesn't happen again.
It is important to note, Colorado lawmakers did make changes to this original bill. Those changes mainly focus on that task force. The task force will have until 2022 to come back with its recommendations. The bill now moves to the Senate, where it also has bipartisan support. I'm Denver7 investigator Jennifer Kovaleski.
President Biden is aiming to keep firearms from falling into the wrong hands with his executive action on ghost guns.
Those do-it-yourself weapons are bought and sold online, and they are difficult to trace. By order, the White House background checks and serial numbers are now mandatory. Gun control advocates see that as a small but crucial step toward ensuring people with criminal records don't obtain weapons. Others say the order will do little more than make it difficult for responsible gun owners to obtain parts.
And the president also toughened restrictions on the type of stabilizing brace that he says was used by the Boulder King Soopers gunman. Congressman Jason Crow, who carried a rifle as an Army Ranger, spoke to that today.
It stabilizes the weapon, makes it easier to fire faster and more accurately, and it turns, a pistol into a much more devastating weapon. There's no reason why sportsmen and women, hunters, people that need to defend their home need to have an accessory like this in their home.
And our conversation there took place with Crow before today's mass shooting in Texas. Congressman Ken Buck was less than pleased with Biden's actions. He tells Denver7, quote, "This renewed push for gun control won't stop dangerous people from getting guns. It will only further limit the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding Americans."
Baseball requires both skill and luck, and Denver demonstrated both by securing the All-Star game in July. Mayor Michael Hancock tells me Major League Baseball had already been scouting Denver and was top of mind when it came time to make a change.
We were applying for the All-Star game for we initially started with 2022, but ultimately they asked us to look at 2024, which we were doing. They had been here in Denver to see us just last year, a year ago, this month, or last month, I should say. And so they knew we had the blueprint to pull it off, and they liked Denver. And so when they had to make the decision to pull out of Georgia, they made the call to Denver and said, would you be willing to pick it up this year and accept it and be part of our evaluation for where we would move it? We couldn't say no to that, Ann.
And I asked the mayor about how the city will manage if the Avs and Nuggets are in the playoffs around the same time as the All-Star game, and he said that is a challenge he would love to face. You know, Denver has a proud multicultural history, not that you would know it from our landmarks.
And the city thinks it's about time that changed. Denver7's Ivan Rodriguez with that tonight.
When you look at an old building, what do you see? For people in certain Denver neighborhoods, it's the memories behind the architecture that stays with them.
When I was a teenager, we used to come and watch movies here all the time, and I wish they'd fix that up again.
Rosalia Tapia was born and raised near La Alma Park. Now she walks her grandchildren through the place she calls home.
As they're growing up, I want them to learn my heritage too, and what it means to be in this area and all the landmarks that they do have around here.
For Rosalia, it's the Aslan Theater on Santa Fe that calls to her. For others, it's the elaborate murals found in surrounding parks that tell a story. Recalling Latino and Chicano history from settlement up until the 1990s is now the work of the city's Community Planning and Development Department.
It also identifies historic places and spaces that are significant to that history, so that tell that history. We recognize that through the preservation work that we have done in the city of Denver to date, it's not necessarily telling the whole diverse, vibrant history of our city.
Only about 4% of designated buildings and landmarks represent Latino and Chicano communities and other communities of color. For Rudy Gonzalez, son of Chicano activist Corky Gonzalez, it's about time for change.
My dad, I think, would appreciate the fact that it's happening finally, especially now that we have seen a pretty significant influx of people from across the country to really understand who we are as a people, as an indigenous people.
An important step for the city to let the history of its neighborhoods be preserved.
Latinos need their heritage too to be shown here also.
Because if 2020 was a year of awakening, equity and representation are next in line. Ivan Rodriguez, Denver7.
Coming up, if the kid wants a dragon.
She wanted almost the impossible.
The kid gets a dragon.
It's not impossible. It's definitely doable.
It may have been windy, but at least it was warm today. Coming up, I see a chance for snow.